Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. We created this podcast to share the wonderful people we get to interact with, we get to meet, we get to know, and most importantly, get to learn from. So I invite you to join us on this journey here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. So I'm here today with a friend, Jeff Yurcisin, who has had a terrific career. He's a nice guy, he has a wonderful family. He's smart about a lot of different things. But more than that, he's got a real sense of curiosity and a real zest for life and business. He has his head on his shoulders from a balance point of view. And we're here to catch up on his newest gig today and all things about your view of life, Jeff. Jeff, welcome to our podcast.
I love it. It's an honor to be here, Jim. I'm really looking forward to this.
So you have a new gig. You're the CEO of the Grove Collaborative. Where does the name the Grove Collaborative come from?
Well, once upon a time, we were named ePantry. And then for the last 10 years, we've been named Grove Collaborative. We recently did a big rebrand, trying to ladder all of our brands underneath the brand Grove. And I'd love to tell you a little bit about Grove. So, our vision is to be the trusted brand for conscientious customers by creating and curating wallet-friendly, efficacious, and planet-first products. So we first came about by driving real innovation with concentrates. It's just kind of silly shipping all of these big laundry detergent or soap that are all water-based all around the country. It's bad from a carbon perspective.
Window cleaner, detergent, yeah.
It's just almost like nonsensical. And so for us, for years, we've been one of the true leaders driving real innovation on how consumers buy products for their homes with a mind on not just something that it works really well, but something that's really good for their family and also good for the planet.
And in turn would make them feel good about not contributing to waste or climate destruction.
Completely. And so we've been a leader when it comes to carbon, but the place that we really differentiate is that we were or are the first plastic neutral retailer in the world.
I read that about Jeff. Give us a little explanation about what does it mean to be plastic neutral?
First thing that we try to do is to make sure that we minimize all plastic. So when we look at literally designing and creating products, we are looking from both a packaging perspective and an ingredient perspective to minimize the impact of plastic. And then when we do have some plastic involved, we will actually work with an organization called Repurpose to pick up plastic out of the oceans to make sure that we truly are plastic zero.
So plastic zero is when you do have to use plastic because you can't engineer a replacement at this time, you're committed to working with this other organization to make sure you're funding the removal of that much waste plastic out of the environment.
Exactly. And so for plastic, I think, Jim, this goes back a generation as to how our country has had a relationship with plastic.
But reading your data, it's a relationship that's bountiful. I mean, it's the amount of plastic we use in my lifetime is just dramatically different than it was a generation 2 or 3 ago.
Yeah. I think back to how our society took on styrofoam and realized, hey, this may not be great for the environment. Let's try to find alternatives. And the plastic industry is actually tied to petrochemicals. And there was a whole marketing campaign to persuade all of us to put our plastic into our blue bins and believe that we were doing what was right. But only 5% of plastic's recycled. Only 5%.
When I read that in your materials, I was blown away by that, Jeff. So we all do the right thing at home. It seems to me most everyone does, to recycle, and we separate our garbage. And then it doesn't, we separate it, but then the sanitation companies just throw it back together, huh?
So what's really amazing is I think the knowledge is getting spread pretty quickly, whether it is newspapers and investigative journalists taking this on, or if you haven't seen it, there's a phenomenal PBS Frontline special called The Plastic Wars. And all of this kind of helps to educate customers, or not just customers, all of us, around the impact of plastic. So 5% is recycled. The other 95%, Hopefully, most of it ends up in a landfill if you're going to use plastic, but often it's shipped overseas. Sometimes it's burned, and then some, which is horrible as well from a environmental perspective and a health perspective. And then we haven't even talked about the Pacific plastic patch. Like that is over 600,000 square miles. It's like twice the size of Texas.
How did it get there, Jeff? It didn't. It isn't just a collection of bottles that blew off the deck of a boat.
No. So like in terms of the big Pacific patch, like the garbage patch, this is one that it's not all plastic. It's a lot of trash, and the way that the kind of currents work, there's a sizable kind of
It's aggregating, but are like people, companies, countries just dumping it?
Well, for a while, we used to export our plastic, literally, like export it over to China. Then China closed the borders and we found other places. And sometimes that plastic that we thought was getting recycled truly goes overseas. And ideally, it is put into dumps. But like,
And it falls off a ship.
it falls off a ship either purposefully or inadvertently. But like, look, I think for us, we're tackling plastic because customers care and because it's the right thing to do. It's literally what pulled our kind of team together. Like we are united in this fight against plastic and trying to do the right thing. And so when you look at the big Pacific kind of trash patch, of the plastic in there, 89% is single-use plastic. And so it's just, if you were to ask Jeff, what can we do? Everyone should be running around with a reusable water bottle. Just everyone should. It is just silly that what we're doing is buying these 12-ounce or 16-ounce either soda bottles or water bottles when water across our country is truly available. And that is the first step to take. What we've done is gone deeper. We've looked into packaging. We've looked into packaging of products, the ingredients of products, trying to pull plastic out whenever we can. Even like when you're packing the cardboard box, which of course is recyclable and is regularly recycled by local municipalities, but like we're not putting in plastic air pillows. We'll pay a premium to still protect the product, but with something that truly is recyclable.
Tell me about the economics. Why wouldn't a sanitation department, private or public, be interested in recycling? It's got to be economic.
When it comes down to it, I think most municipalities really are trying to recycle. The challenge is the type of plastics that get put into those blue bins, and it is really unique to every single municipality on what they're able to tackle. Now, they have every incentive to do it, but often it is economic. It's just easier to kind of ship it off outside of their municipality and ultimately overseas or lump it in with the trash so that it goes into a dump.
So and these 600,000 square miles, it's hard to comprehend that much trash. Is there any way business people, entrepreneurs, companies, countries would be economically incented to do something with it? If they got it out, what would they do with it? Where would they put all of that?
I think these are the right questions to ask. So I've seen some early kind of venture-backed ideas about trying to gobble up some of that trash, but this is going to take years, and we have to solve the root cause.
There's a special I saw about a young man, very young man, American, I think he was American, who invented some machine that was solar powered that was going around in the ocean and picking it all up. Then the question is, okay, now I know how you can pick it up. After you pick it up, what do you do with it? Where does it go? What do you do with it?
Exactly. And so and even if we were to pick it up, we are consuming at such a rate, we've got to change our behaviors. And so this is where, when we listen to customers, more of them care about plastic pollution than they even do about carbon. And so if now that consumers are increasingly becoming aware, we think that there's a real opportunity to serve them. And we try to serve them as they make their purchase decisions from everything from dental floss as to how you can kind of pick products that minimize plastic.
Hey, don't touch my dental floss, man.
When we talk about it internally, what we realize is, look, I think we We are serving a large group of Americans who are just trying to do the right thing. That they're trying to use their wallet to express to make sure that their family has really healthy, high standards and efficacious products, but also trying to do the right thing from a planet perspective. And so what we have is a wide range of products that kind of meet them where they are. Like we believe in progress over perfection, and we don't kind of come with our own haughty attitude. We're just saying, hey, welcome to our store. Let's show you different ways that you can change your purchase behavior so that you can minimize the impact on the environment.
Tell us a little bit about how the company started.
So it started with three founders a little over 10 years ago, and it started truly by listening to consumers. They were united. The founder, Stu, who hired me just 8 months ago to replace him, he was committed from a very young age, believing that the role the private sector can have is one for the public good. And very early on, when we started meeting and talking, we realized that we had a melding of minds when it comes to how you use companies to be a force for good. And so it started in the early days of thinking about how you can aggregate a lot of product and curate product to minimize carbon impact. And then we started leading with more of the innovations when it came to minimizing plastic. And quickly we started scaling. So we have served over 5 million customers over the years. We have 1 million active customers right now who've purchased from us in the last 12 months. And they trust us. They truly, like, we have earned their trust over the years. And they have started using us to meet their household needs. So the way our business works, like, you understand e-commerce and the economics of e-commerce about as well as anyone. But it's hard for us to compete with someone like an Amazon when you're selling a $7 item. It's just Amazon's going to win. And so for us, the way we approach it is we kind of focus on an entire box. So the average box that we send to our consumers has 7 to 8 items in it. And when you're doing that, you can minimize the carbon impact because there are not all of these different trucks arriving at your door. But also it allows us to ensure that the customer gets this wallet-friendly and planet-friendly box. And so our cost structure, we're trying to make sure that we have the right type of cost structure for our business. But at the end of the day, we are making intentional decisions when it comes to packaging that are more expensive, right? Like, we're picking aluminum whenever we can because it's easily recyclable by truly every municipality compared to some of the plastic alternatives. And so when we're making those type of decisions, it costs more. So how do we make it all work? We kind of create an experience that customers use us as their curator. And they're not just coming to buy one item, but they're coming to buy 5, 6, sometimes 10, 12 items. And that allows us to put it all into a box to minimize the overall shipping on a per unit basis and to have economics that can actually work.
I get that, but that sounds like a heavy lift from a marketer's point of view, Jeff, to while the cost of acquiring a customer, what they call in the trade, the CAC, cost of acquisition of a customer, is going up, while the cost of freight is going up, while the cost of packaging by your design is going up and higher than other alternatives that are less earth friendly. That sounds like a heavy lift.
Well, look, I think we have a lot of tailwind when I think about the business. So we've got these customers, they're incredibly loyal. If you are actually to listen to them and score them on an NPS, we are off the charts. So we've got a core loyal customer base that right now we're serving. What you're challenging is, Jeff, how do you grow with high CACs?
You're a guy who lives on growth in everything you've ever done, including your intellectual curiosity. How do you size the market?
So when we think about it, when you look at the overall consumer products market, we're talking tens of billions. And the space that we're looking at is also a multi-billion-dollar space where there will be someone who will be serving this conscientious customer with a $500 billion brand. We're right now a little over 200 million. That will serve customers who are trying to make that right decision. And so how do we go acquire those customers? How do we tell our story? We've tried many different things in years past, but I'm really energized by what we've done in the last 6 weeks.
Finally, 6 weeks. You've been sitting on your hands until then.
So we call it internally open arms, but we've gone from a closed garden type of experience where you could only make a purchase when you kind of fall into a subscription to now saying, come, truly everyone come, we'll meet you where you are. We will kind of share our story, share the curated type of products. And what it's allowed us to do is open up new channels that we've historically not really played in. All of the Google channels is an example. We've historically been leaning much heavier in influencers and affiliates and social advertising. And so we're now unlocking some new channels. And there's a customer experience improvement for a new customer that I think is revolutionary for us. Mm-hmm. And it will open up a much, much larger TAM, not just ones who want to purchase with a automatic type of subscription. We're creating incentives for customers to subscribe. And the reason the incentives matter and subscribe and save matters for us is it allows customers to find themselves already with 4, 5, 6 items that will be in their box every single month or every other month, which then makes it really easy for them to get to
the shipping unit economics to work. Yeah.
That's exactly it. In e-commerce, I feel like it's all about these shipping unit economics. And that's what our business model kind of depends on. But I'm really I'm proud of our own team. We've launched these new ready to use. So we also are on Target shelves.
And how's that going?
It's going pretty well. I think we went really fast with initially when we launched 2 or 3 years ago. But now what we're doing is rather than just taking e-commerce product and putting it on Target shelves, and not just Target, but CVS and Kroger, we are on thousands of shelves across the country.
And are you in category or are you your own category? Eco-friendly, separate collection of your products, or are your products in Target or in CVS integrated when you have a kitchen drain board? Are you in with the plastic drain boards or the metal drain boards from somebody else?
No, I mean, we are merchandised right next to other certified B corporations and other type of products. So if you were looking at hand soap, we will be on the shelves next to others that are trying to do something similar. Often our product's a little more premium. We stand by the highest standards possible when it comes to ingredients. And then, of course, from a sustainability perspective, few can outflank us there. Our retail partners really love our product. We've launched this new ready-to-use product. So typically, if you were buying a dish soap, the way we used to work is we would have a durable, a beautiful glass kind of soap dispenser that you would then refill with an aluminum soap concentrate and then add water, and it would be as efficacious as anything else you would use. And it'd be better for the environment.
The better for the environment part is both the concentrate and the container?
Exactly. So the container is a single-use plastic that's going to be put into your blue bin, and you can hope for the best, but not for us.
You're going to give a glass container that can be reused and has a good application attachment to it. And I'm going to buy from you some kind of a individualized pellet of some sort that when diluted in water will give me every bit the efficacious use that a liquid detergent that was shipped from across the country to me.
Exactly. And so whether it's laundry, dish soap, hand soap, all of this, multi-surface cleaner, all of those operate the same way. But the problem was, our dispensers were really beautiful. Some of the most beautiful in the space, they just cost a lot to buy into, right? And so the entry price point was just a little too rich. So what we just launched this month, it's hitting all of these shelves. We call it a ready-to-use. It is an aluminum bottle that jumps off the shelves, that was designed for a brick and mortar shelf, not just an e-commerce product that we were putting on brick and mortar shelves. And we're hitting a price point that is going to be quite competitive for the space. Think $4 and $5, not $15 to $20. And then it's beautiful enough. It can sit on your, above the counter, either in your bathroom or in your kitchen. And then you just refill in the future with some of the concentrates to refill. And so we see this as a game changer, and it's aluminum. And so if you were ever tired of it, okay, now put that into your blue bin, and that will get recycled.
Tell me, Jeff, is the collaborative's concern about plastic containers, not to mention the shipping of unconcentrated or fully diluted products? Is your concern with the plastic itself, which I think could be the case, or with the fact of its lack of recyclability on the back end, or both?
That's a great question. It's a little bit of both. So when we talk about the plastic itself, we just keep learning more and more about plastic. There was a study just early this year from a Cornell group of scientists identifying nanoplastics. So in every bottle of water, every 12 or 16 ounce, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of nanoplastics that are in that water. And so, when our scientists and our sustainability team analyze this, they're like, Jeff, we're still learning about plastic and how long it really takes to disintegrate and what is the impact of these plastics to one's body.
We never thought it was those microparticles were winding up in our cellular structures.
I know. And so this is where there's a health lens that we have to think about. And then there's also a sustainability lens when it comes to trash. And so this is why plastic is a cause that unites us. By the way, this is also something interesting. Our team, Jim, the founder, the way he would phrase it is like he was building a business to be $1 billion business to figure out how to be profitable. But unfortunately, the market's turned, what's happened to the interest rates and what that means for how you think about CAC and paybacks. And ultimately, we've shifted to trying to focus on profitability in the short term while also growing rather than the other way around. So we've prioritized profitability. Our team's gone through rifts, several. We work remotely from home. And what's amazing is this culture is extraordinary and the team is extraordinary. And I've thought about this just intellectually. I've not seen a lot of case studies like this, where there's such a strong culture, such a strong connection to each other, really great collaboration, and we're all remote.
I don't know how you manage that, Jeff. You and I have chatted about that because I'm looking to learn from you. But that is you're headquartered in San Francisco. Sounds to me like there's a big line item savings coming in the future.
So, as a matter of fact, we have the most beautiful headquarters office. Right across the street from Levi's Plaza, 6 floors, rooftop deck. And unfortunately, for this year, on average, less than 5 people are going into the office.
That's crazy.
Because even those that live in San Francisco appreciate the flexibility, but we still worry about how we drive connection. And so what's really pretty extraordinary is I think where I've landed when I really listen to our team is it's this mission purpose driven element that both attracts a certain type of person and then unites us. Now, I still don't think it's enough. Next month, we're going to try something where we're going to have this annual summit. We're flying in everyone from outside San Francisco into San Francisco. We'll have meetings. We'll clean up the bay. We'll do some sustainability work. It was super energizing to try to drive some of that connection. But we'll see. I think for us, the team is really quite talented and connected and aligned on what we have to do.
I could see your point cool about the collaborative the Grove Collaborative would be attracting people who are really committed to the idea. For you, who was a student of culture, how do you wrap your arms around you as the CEO? How do you manage that for growth, for cultural enrichment?
I don't know if I told you that I did this, but in my first 6 months, I tried to meet with every employee.
How many of them quit after that?
Well, one of the magical things is it was my favorite part of every week, right? I just get to talk to our team and hear about their own unique stories and what they bring to the table and what they love and what their superpower is, and then what they want to change about Grove. And so it was a bit of a chance for me to really listen. And I'm optimistic that we're going to have the culture that we need ultimately to win, a cost structure that allows a customer to have that wallet-friendly, planet-friendly box, and the innovation that can still happen when you can attract the best talent from all around the country, if not all around the world in a remote setting. It is an interesting experiment. I'm excited to keep you up to date on it, but it really is like culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yep.
Right?
And look at the cultural experiences you've had. Share with our community, Jeff. You've worked at Shop Hop. You had a very accomplished career at Amazon for, I think it was 8 or so years, and then you ran a company called Zulily up through its sale to Curate, and the sad things that have happened there. But you've been at the forefront of the changes in commerce, the changes in e-commerce, the change in the last mile delivery. You've been at the center of all those big seismic changes that have happened in the last 2 decades.
Yeah. I remember telling a story to Mark Vadon, one of the founders of Zulily, who had previously founded Blue Nile. And I told him when I was shopping for my wife's engagement ring, I realized the Blue Nile customer experience was superior to the one I had at Tiffany's. And it was superior in a customer-centric manner, in a value manner, but in an education manner across the board. It was extraordinary. When I received the engagement ring, I went and had it, assessed at a local jeweler, and they gave me a 3x type of valuation. And so I felt pretty good with my purchase. My wife said yes, and so it's a happy story. But that experience, shows that you can build better customer experiences possibly in a digital environment.
We put our heart into everything we do. We are farmers, bakers, florists, and makers who grow and create with a passion. Made with love at every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, we know you're sending more than a gift. 1-800-Flowers, share with love.
That happened before I went to business school. And then for me, I remember where I was when I decided private sector is where I thought I could have the right type of impact, not just for shareholders, but for, society, to be a force for good. And so then after business school, I joined Amazon. While there, I was the first MBA type to become a buyer, because in business school, I just knew that it seemed like most retail CEOs had once been buyers. And so I jumped into buying. Most of my peers thought it was a demotion, but pretty quickly I was presenting to the board of directors and involved in helping to scale a lot of Amazon's kind of buying systems and processes.
And tell us what categories you were involved in, what product categories you were involved in while at Amazon. I know apparel was one of them.
Yeah, I was the first outdoors buyer. I was in sports and outdoors. I remember where I was when this leader named Russ Grandinetti said, "Hey, what are you passionate about? I hear you like sports." And I'm like, "Yeah, can I join?" So I was a member of the founding member of the sports and outdoors team. Truly amazing job. Later on, Amazon asked me to replace a founder the first time I did it in September of 2008 to run a fashion company in Madison, Wisconsin called Shop Hop. I joined the week Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt.
Was it your fault?
Anyway, so Shop Hop, I remember the first we called it monthly business review, but it was with a guy named Jeff Wilke and Brian Olsavsky, who's now the CFO of Amazon. And we would have these monthly business reviews, and they were like, this is highly correlated. The poor performance is highly correlated with when Jeff joined the company. But we were trying to sell $200 denim, $100 t-shirts in a world that was living in the 2008 crisis. And so what I'm proud of there is we focused on the customer. We made the right type of decisions, some cultural and organizational decisions that went a really long way. By listening to the customer, we found a way to scale new strategies. We opened up an international business, and it became one of the great success stories within the broader Amazon portfolio. And so when I handed off to my successor, we went from about 100 million in sales to about $1 billion in gross sales in a pretty short period of time. So Amazon asked me to run some other businesses. I was running the clothing business when it became the largest clothing business in the United States. And then the last role that Jeff asked me to do was to run private brands. So I was the most senior leader building private brands for Amazon. And then I was attracted to Zulily, where I replaced another founder. It's a little bit of a cautionary tale of trying to take Amazon on head on. And so for those listeners who are thinking about, who are joining and listening based off of business and strategy, I think there are many cautionary tales about when you try to take on a gorilla head on. And so you need to kind of think through your strategic moat and your differentiation and make sure that you're building that moat every single day.
So if you had it to do over again with the lessons learned, what you know now, you're invited to meet with the founders who are looking to re-energize a company that's sort of hit a wall. What advice would you have for them?
I think it's all about the customer. It truly is all about the customer. There can be some short-term strategies, finding a better way to acquire customers, driving out costs, a bunch of different elements. But, if I were to think about what I learned from Jeff, I never reported directly to Jeff, but I was in dozens of meetings with him. And I remember this one meeting so well, where many people think of Jeff for his big brain, his intellectual tenacity, his high standards. But all we're doing is walking the store, just up on a screen, walking an e-commerce store. It was Amazon. And the owners of the business, we were in there, the category owners, like we were the ones responsible. And Jeff just thought like a consumer better than anyone in the room. For everything, all of his talents, he just was more customer centric, working backwards from a customer, empathizing, feelings, asking why, just to try to build the right type of customer experience. And I think at the end of the day, like, businesses are there to serve customers. We have a choice as to how we serve those customers and the type of impact we can have on the rest of the world. I'm proud that we are at Grove, a certified B Corporation. I don't know if you
explain what Certified B Corporation is.
So it's extraordinary. So this is our 10th year as a certified B Corp, and basically B Corps use business as a force for good.
You're still a for-profit company. You're a public company now. Have been since 22. So yep, you have the capitalist agenda, but
you also have to think about the rest of the community. So it's a social, environmental. There are standards and a certification process that is comprehensive and transparent, and independent standards kind of judging your social and environmental performance, not just your shareholder performance. And that's something that I'm really proud of. And so there are a lot of ways that in our economy that you can build businesses that have differentiation that can serve consumers well. After my last role, I took some time and said, I want to use my time and energy on this earth to be a force for good. And I want to be much more direct. B corporations are a great way to kind of quickly narrow who is judging themselves with independent standards of not just delivering returns to shareholders, which, by the way, I am very committed to doing, but in a way that also serves a greater purpose, one that minimizes our environmental impact that we have and our footprint that we have, and is a force for good socially.
Which has to influence who you attract to come and work as part of the team, the Grove Collaborative. It has to impact the kinds of consumers you attract who want your products because they want to do the right thing, and but it also has to be tough to be able to maintain those standards. How are you doing financially? You mentioned you're a little over $200 million in revenue. You came into a situation where you were asked to achieve a bunch of things: growth in an economically more challenging period than it was before you joined. Some of the rules changed. How are you doing financially? What's your prospects for the future? What do you tell your investors?
Yeah, look, I think we were once $1 billion unicorn. We had raised hundreds of millions of dollars. We went public. If you were to look at our stock chart, you'll see that we are 90+% down. But here's the amazing thing. We have a strong business. We've been profitable on an adjusted EBITDA basis for the last 2 quarters. when I talk to investors, we work backwards from the opportunity that exists, and that I'm really transparent with them in terms of where we are. The balance sheet is strong. We've got about 70 million in debt, but a comparable amount of cash. And so the balance sheet is strong. Adjusted EBITDA has been positive. What I've told the street this year is we're going to be profitable in 2024, period. And we'll be growing by the end of the year.
Profitable on what basis, Jeff?
Adjusted EBITDA.
Adjusted EBITDA.
So the great news is we don't have a lot of capital. CapEx is pretty minimal, so there isn't a high depreciation line. And that's just the start. We're just trying to say we've hit the trough and we are now going to be growing in a profitable manner. And a lot of this, I think you know probably about as well as anyone, how when you acquire customers and you look at cohort curves, that there's a cost to acquire a customer and then you're getting some of those repeat behaviors. We had just been spending in an unsustainable manner as recently as 5 quarters ago. And so we're kind of burning through some of those comps. And by the end of this year, we expect to be growing and profitable. And so we'll be on a new path, and I'm energized about it. We've got an investor group that knows the story, kind of sees the upside, and that are focused, like they know that we're committed to delivering shareholder returns. We're not just a nonprofit type of thing. And so I think where we stand right now feels right. We're focused on the customer, which will drive growth. We're focused on profitability, but ultimately we are going to differentiate with our sustainability mission.
Tell me, how do you handle R&D in an environment where you don't have the flexibility you had a few years ago in terms of the balance sheet? You're on this mission to be profitable, so that's going to challenge how much you can allocate toward R&D in this environment. But R&D sounds to me like an essential ingredient because your customer base has a thirst for products that help them to live the kind of life that they want to live. So it sounds like it's still important and maybe even essential. So and then doing that all in a virtual environment seems especially challenging.
Some of the best R&D that we've driven has happened in the last 12 months with this new launch that's hitting shelves this month. And we've done it with a smaller team. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but sometimes when you take away some layers, you empower the right people, you get a committed team working together, we're able to drive great levels of innovation, even in a remote environment. And so, I think when you were to measure R&D as a percentage of revenue or different elements, we are still committed to driving the innovation on our kind of products that we're creating, the Grove Co. brand. But the magic is we also curate other third-party products. So sometimes we'll see, I was just at a show called Expo West, where a lot of these sustainable products are presented. And I just saw some really exciting products that could be hitting the market. We'll curate them. I can't share yet until they hit our website. And it allows us to innovate both in our own development, but also bringing other kind of market innovations to these customers who are trusting us to be that curator for them.
Jeff, you have 5 million customers from the beginning to today, 1 million active in the last 12 months. How do you think about reaching back out to those 4 million customers who have historically dealt with you but aren't active currently? And have the rules in that regard changed as well?
Yeah, I think it comes back to brand. Like, I think you guys know this so well at 1-800-Flowers, where there's a transactional customer who just wants to buy something for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. I'm sure that customer exists. But the real valuable ones are the ones who appreciate the brand, appreciate the value and the curation that 1-800-Flowers can deliver, and serving multiple type of needs. It's similar to us. So yes, we have 4 million, quote, inactive customers. When we survey them, guess what? They actually speak quite highly of us. They love us. NPS scores are still high. We just have to find a way to effectively get back in front of them. And now that we've changed our front end new customer type of experience, we think the ease of bringing them back into our store, highlighting these incentives that they can subscribe to products, which they've historically done, but now they'll have an incentive to subscribe to products because they'll be able to save 20% on their first order, 5% on future orders. And And our belief is, of course, we'll use email and SMS as ways to re-engage them, but we are in the middle of relaunching, I would say, our targeting ability to go after those 4 million inactive. And we will use social advertising, we will use some of the Google channels. And this is where this new front door shopping to new customers allows us to play in advertising channels that we've just never historically played in. And what's really energizing, like we were talking about growth and what draws people together. And I think it is a mission. I think it is good people. But, the innovation we're seeing week over week in our weekly business review, we are driving down CAC, not just by $1 or $2. Like, we're relaunching a business. And it's like, oh, we just fixed this kind of PayPal bug and down went CAC by X%. And we're just continuing to iterate and innovate. And the team is energized by it. Whether we are in person or not, it's pretty amazing. And it's such a delight to be with a group of people that are equally committed, working really hard, and all kind of rowing in the same direction for the same purpose and the same customer. And that's the way it feels.
I heard in that litany of things that you have underway, a social. This just screams to me that this is your audience, your consumer, your community has the potential, and probably already is, very much a community of like-minded people. And that seems to me that they, two things, they'd be easier than other communities to reach through social means because you can guess as to where they're going to be hanging out. And I would think because they're of like mind, spirit, and intent, and with similar sensitivities, that they'd like to feel like they're part of a community and not just buying products from a company that might have values like theirs.
Mm-hmm. So I think what you're hitting is you can drive efficient CACs if you have a narrow enough target that you're able, a narrow enough segment that you're able to target with the right type of channels. And that's what social advertising enables. And so I think you're exactly right. We have a specific type of customer. When you bid on the big platforms, the Instagrams and the Facebooks, the algorithm will quickly learn how to get your product, your brand in front of those kind of targeted customers in a more efficient way than what marketing looked like and advertising looked like 20 years ago.
Last time I was in San Francisco, there seemed to be some storefronts available. Have you ever thought, is that a conversation you would have about creating a little a storefront that would be a marketing platform?
We'd consider it, but right now it's not a top priority. Like, we'll follow our customer where they are, but I think that the TAM is large enough online that we'll have plenty of growth.
And tell me about these rumors about you and Drew Barrymore.
So Drew was a great brand ambassador for us for years. I think we just found a nice win-win where she represented the brand.
Was that a good thing for the brand at the time?
Yeah, I think it really was. I think as we look forward, we're just trying to make sure that we're focused on that wallet-friendly and planet-friendly box. And so I think it was a great win-win for years. And when we look forward, I think that we were finding other ways to reach our consumers. But I think she's a devout customer who loves our brand. And when you have a chance to interview her next on the podcast, you can ask her about growth. And I think you'll hear the passion and the fondness.
I love catching up with you, Jeff. I think you're silly to be working for a founder. Who would ever possibly want to do that? I had to enlist my brother because no one else would want to work for this crazy person. But congratulations to you, Jeff. I'm thrilled to follow your career and all your successes. You're a really smart guy. You have a great collection of experiences. You've demonstrated to our community today what a leader you are, what an innovator you are, and I think they can tell, but I can attest. You also happen to be just a darn good person, and so we're happy to have introduced you to our community today, and I'm sure they'll want to hear from you again.
I love it. I'm a devout listener. I love the podcasts, and you've got a great group of people. And thank you for the time.
Thank
Really
you, Jeff.
appreciate it.
Congratulations. We'll be watching that stock price. It's probably going to be hitting the launch pad pretty soon.
I love it. Thank you.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Find the perfect gift.
And wow the people you love.
Wow. This is amazing.
Whether you want to say happy birthday,
So cute.
Or I love you.
I love you too.
thinking of you.
Wow.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Celebrate the people you love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim1800Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.